What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the review and discussion for UnOrdinary, episode 299. Episode 300 is upon us, guys, and as I'm sure you know, I'm very excited for it. But let's go ahead and talk about episode 299 because it's a really good episode, honestly, all things considered. A bit abrupt. Well, no, I wouldn't say abrupt. We get some clarification on some elements of the story that, I think a few of us have speculated on. I would honestly say more others have done it more than me, because I thought some things were just kind of made sense. But Uru shed light on a few things that I honestly didn't expect. I didn't think were too big a deal. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. So first things first, William does not read Jane's letter directly to us. He instead does a recap of it as he's reading through it. So we don't get a word for word reading of Jane's letter. We do see some snippets that Uru does show directly. But overall, it is William recapping what he's learned and realized from this letter. So we learned that, as expected based on what Cameron said, Jane cut off her family in order to be with William. That's a really big thing. It's kind of, no, not that. But anyway, so, we could have inferred that based on how Cameron's reaction was and some of the things that Cameron also said in his introduction as well. But we also learned that after she left her family, the authorities wanted to recruit her and threatened her to do so. So is there some sort of dynamic going on between Jane's family and the authorities? Are they allies? Are they Are Jane's family considered dangerous and the authorities are just don't mess with them, let them be? We're going to have to wait and see. I am very curious to see how this is going to play out. I did bring up in the reaction, is this kind of like a Celestial Dragons type thing where it's those guys, they do as they please, don't touch them ever. So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that. So they were threatening Jane to work for them, threatening William basically, and she was able to hold them off. But once John was born, she wasn't able to protect both of them for the authorities. So seemingly she's worked out some sort of deal to sacrifice her own freedom, and basically at this point, as we've seen, become the Bureau of Authorities test subject, in order to give both William, as William describes it, both him and John immunity from the government, which William points out making sense as to why John was able to get away with so much back at New Boston. I always thought it was just based off of his level only, but a line had to be drawn somewhere, and that's why he was sent to the readjustment facility. And now granted, I do wonder if Keon's in know about that, or if anyone tried to do something more with John, if higher ups in the authorities, in the Bureau of Authority, would stop that and be no, let him go. Because as I pointed out before, John has a fairly clean record with, now granted, again, John hasn't done anything major on the scale of what Serafina, Remy, Blyke, and Ison have done. Keon did want to talk to him again, but John isn't really a target of the authorities at this point. I say that, but we'll get back to that. But William also points out as to why this was most likely the reason why he wasn't punished for UnOrdinary. I personally chalk that up to him just being you can't really arrest someone for writing a book. You can't in our world. Now, in the world of UnOrdinary, maybe they could have actually, but William mentions he has immunity from the government thanks to Jane. So Jane also writes that she had hoped and believed William would have forgotten about her when she left and just moved on, because she just left in a hurry. But he says that he, of course, could not have done that. And he recounts when they first met, saying that she was the best thing to happen to him. We get a flashback, and young adult William and Jane are fucking adorable. They are so cute together. William definitely does look a bit like John, without the menacing bearing to him and without the golden eyes. But Jane looks kind of like a mix between Sarah and Remy, of all people, honestly. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Uru is I definitely do think, while I will say won't say it for 100% certain that Uru is like definitely trying to like, you know, ship John and Sarah together now and like make them a for sure couple. I wouldn't say she's 100% doing that, but I will say Uru's definitely making like parallels between William and Jane and John and Sarah in terms of looks, how they look together. So yeah, but yeah, so they are cute together. But Jane was a big fan of William's writing, and even before meeting him, she clearly does not care that he has no ability, and she seems to not to care too much about a person's power level or ability. So already she's vastly different from Cameron based on what we saw. Now, she even encourages William, saying that he has a gift and can encourage people with his words. And he did. We saw that with UnOrdinary. Many people were inspired by him and came out to fight injustice, to fight for people in lower districts and everything. So it's great to see that William really is a good author in the story. At least, you know, some people do still appreciate his words. And we can see, at least in some way, he always had a way of inspiring people, because Jane never cared about his ability level, and she was just excited to meet him. She thought he was a brilliant author. So there's that. Now, afterwards, though, Jane asks William out to pick his brain about his writing, and it's adorable. It's just a brief little flashback to, I guess you could say, their first date. They go get coffee, and like there's cake and everything too, and they're just kind of laughing at each other. And it's cute. It's honestly really fucking sweet to read. But after finishing her letter, William reflects on losing Jane all this time and John growing up without his mother. And he states, enough is enough. And we can tell that William is going to do something. And once again, Uru, this is just a friendly reminder. If anything happens to William, nah, I will riot in the streets. Anyway, final part. At Wellston, the next day, Sarah is called into the head office. But seeing as she left, she clearly doesn't show up. And we do see John and Arlo's reactions. Arlo is kind of nervous. He is sweating a little bit. Arlo's in class. John is just on the rooftop of the school, just looking back and thinking on everything. And he lets out a sigh, seemingly of relief, just kind of like, and yeah, Sarah's gone. Now, in Vaughn's office, we see Nadia again. Her hair's grown a little bit, just a cool detail that I've noticed. A guy with a similar hair color to Zeke, and also eyes similar to Zeke. So maybe a bit darker blue hair than Zeke's, just a little bit. It is still like this in the similar shade, but he has the green eyes like Zeke too. And we meet Mr. Byron. More on him in a bit. So, when she doesn't show up, Vaughn tells them to come back tomorrow as she may be absent for the day. Blue-haired guy, his name is Arnold, he gets really aggro, and Byron steps in to stop him from doing anything stupid, and he tells her that Sarah is a wanted terrorist, part of the same group that Terrence was as well. And Vaughn even asks what proof they have of this, and Nadia provides it to him, evidence from the Next Gen facility when Serafina was caught. Vaughn then just repeats that she's absent, there's nothing he can do, and honestly, the students aren't talking to Vaughn. Like, Vaughn doesn't know anything about what everyone's doing. They don't talk to him. He's right. He doesn't know anything. But we do know, of course, that Vaughn is one to put up a fight. So, Byron then suspects that she must have been warned beforehand and asks to speak to her friends to try and figure out where she is. Vaughn, as usual, just repeats as he said in the past, like when they wanted to talk to John again, without a warrant or proper clearance, which he of course knows about since he used to be a part of the organization, the Bureau of Authority, they won't be speaking to anyone else. Arnold then immediately retaliates with that they are the Bureau. He has a very similar mindset to Zeke. More further proof that he probably is Zeke's dad also. And I do believe in this type of, in this scenario, I do believe these guys are part of the same department that Zeke is in. So he demands that Vaughn comply with them. Vaughn then uses his telekinesis, as Uru wrote it out, and pushes Arnold to the back of the wall and tells all three of them, "Get the fuck out of my school. Clearly, he doesn't actually say that. He just says, leave my school now. And I'm saying it right now. Episode 300 has to be a fight. And Uru, if it's not, I will rage in the streets. And I think the fight in episode 300 is going to be amazing. Is Keen going to step in, though? Is Keen going to back up Vaughn? He does seem to be kind of in a similar boat as, like, Caden is to Layla. Or Layla is to... Or no, that Caden and Layla are to Neil. Very interested about that, honestly. Very, very interested to see what's going to happen next. But yeah, episode 300, the Vaughn fight, finally, maybe, possibly. It better be, I swear to God. But that's not all. There is one aspect of the episode we have to talk about. Mr. Arnold. I didn't describe him. But Arnold is a man with purplish hair, similar in style to Terrence is. Tealish eyes that glow green. And he has bags under his eyes. Now, if you're aware of the series, that probably sounds really familiar. We've probably seen a lot of people like that before. And we've probably seen someone exactly like that before. Well, the one and only Solo Hunter pointed out during the reaction stream last week, we have seen that motherfucker before. We've seen him before because he was the other Spectre agent with Vulcan and one of the ones who killed Rey. Now, back in episode 280, I pointed out, I tried to find out who was the one who actually killed Rey. Was it Valerie or was it him? And unfortunately, we don't really see who gets the final shot on Rey. So Rey, they're handling him perfectly well. Then Valerie shows up. Valerie gets the sneak attack on Rey. She gets that. And she's clearly doing fine on her own. Byron, on the other hand, was tired out. And he said he wasn't used to the ability. He then looks back at Rey on the floor. Someone stabs Rey. It's probably Byron. It could still be Vulcan. The other weird part about it is neither one of them has blood on their hands. The splatter is pointing towards Byron, though, so I definitely do think, it probably was Byron who killed Rey in the end or got the final hit on Rey. But, yeah, we've seen Byron before, so good catch on that. Good catch on that, Solo. Awesome job. But, yeah, overall, I'd honestly say episode 299, level 9. Level 9 episode, and I do think that episode 300 is going to be a 10 out of 10, a level 10 episode. So, yeah. That will be it for this episode, for this review and discussion. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, what thoughts you guys have, anything else you want to talk about for this episode. And yeah, as always, I'll make sure to see you guys back here tonight when you get this for the episode 300 reaction. So, as always, everyone, see you, Space Cowboy.